Hey everybody, it's Barbara and welcome back to my channel, Straight Out of Context. Copyright disclaimer. Under the Copyright Act of 1976, I am within my full legal right to share these following clips via video and audio. The following creators allow reshare, redistribution, and download of their content, and as always, I credit them in the description box. Fair use, public domain, TikTok third-party license, and TikTok Live automatic third-party license for the use of commentary, reaction, teaching, news reporting, research, comment, and criticism. I am legally within my basic human right, my civil right, and my constitutional right to share, under the First Amendment to the Constitution, my expressions, my views, my thoughts, opinions, feelings, and my critiques. The First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution guarantees my freedom of religion, freedom to exercise of, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, free assembly, and the right to petition the government. The First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution does not cover lies that amount to defamation, slander, libel, harassment, stalking, cyberbullying, threats, doxing, or other verbal crimes.
I was so aggravated when I text Christy earlier. I said, I'm over this shit. Like, I'm getting messages nonstop on every freaking channel. I have 3 channels on TikTok, and every one of them, they're full of messages about, is this true? Have you heard this? Have you seen this? Or people forwarding me videos of people that I'd never want to listen to in my life. Don't care what they say. Is Gypsy pregnant? Is this? And I'm just like, I haven't even been paying attention over here much. I've literally been focused on brown rice and YouTube, and I don't even, so I was like, what? So then I started looking this morning, and I'm like, they got that from this, and this is from what? Like,
Fair use disclaimer. If you do not know who Natasha Cooper is, please do not go to YouTube and search her name. You will find news coverage of her being exposed for scamming true crime victims and families out of money, funds, misappropriating funds. There's a whole man who confronts her at a restaurant about $10,000 missing. There's an entire video of her scratching something in her nether regions and then sniffing it. Yeah, no joke. You don't look it up. Don't look it up. However, she claims to be a true crimer. So that's that. And I mean that with all sincerity. You will thank me later. Do not Google search or YouTube search true crime with Natasha Cooper or Natasha Cooper.
And then you have the others. The ones who have self-appointed themselves as the end-all be-all, know everything about Gypsy and every single person that may have possibly ever spoken to her, been involved with her, or met her in their lives.
The only people that are doing that are people that support Gypsy Rose Blanchard, because everybody else is smart enough to know not to fucking associate with a murderer. And at the very least, don't associate with a sociopath and a pathological liar.
The ones who put up pictures of random babies, mocking those babies, calling infants, innocent freaking babies, ugly, talking about them having crossed eyes. Who the fuck does that?
Yeah, exactly. Who is doing that? Why don't you show it?
And the fact that anybody still listens to these people, I will never understand.
Agreed. There are many, many, many things that humans do that I will never understand either.
I don't care how much you dislike Gypsy. I don't care how much you dislike what Gypsy did. What these people are doing is wrong.
This makes no sense with the pronoun change. I don't care what you think about Gypsy. I don't care if you don't like what Gypsy did. What these people are doing is wrong. If you're speaking to somebody directly, then you need to continuously speak to them directly, because otherwise, who are these people?
On so many levels. And there's some of you who act as if it's perfectly normal. This is perfectly normal behavior. This is what perfectly normal adults are supposed to do on the internet. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. It isn't. This isn't what anybody should be doing on the internet.
And nobody should be scamming victims nor victims' families on the internet either. Misappropriating charitable funds, collecting charitable funds, and every single cent unaccounted for and not going to what they are supposed to go to. Charity fraud, deceptive solicitation, or deceptive use of charitable funds is a federal offense, especially anything that is over $500, where you are using the internet in the commission of that crime, and charitable funds are being drawn from multiple states, like Facebook or GoFundMe.
Anybody who thinks that it's okay to make fun of babies or to wish harm on babies, you need Jesus. Hell, we all need Jesus, but you really need Jesus. I mean, what else are y'all going to do? Because I've had stuff, I've had real life crap happen to me. And everybody knows that I don't agree with what Gypsy did. But that doesn't mean that that gives me the right to interfere and talk about her life and what I think happened in her life every second of every day. And
I beg to differ, because as long as somebody is not committing a crime, they are within their constitutional, basic, and civil rights of talking about whatever they want to talk about. If they want to take 2 hours out of their day talking about whatever they want to talk about, that is their right and their prerogative.
quite frankly, I don't understand why anybody would want to. Anybody that has a life themselves should be more focused on their own life instead of somebody else's.
Again, that's not your business. That's not my business, what other people do with their time and their life, and what they do or do not do in their life, with what they talk about, with what they don't talk about, with how they make their content, with how they don't make their content, including, first and foremost, what their topic is. That's controlling, that's censorship, that's bans, and that's never going to fly in the United States of America.
And I deal with this every day. I have stalkers too. Shit, I have whole ass channels made about me, and I am nobody.
So is Gypsy Rose Blanchard, and some people would beg to differ that she's worse than a nobody. She's a criminal and a convicted murderer.
The level that people take their dislike of someone to is ridiculous. If I don't like you, I don't like you, and you usually know it. But I'm not going to sit here and dwell on it every moment of every day and watch everything that you do and every move that you make and comment on it. You come at me, I'm coming back at you, and y'all all know that.
But she just said that she doesn't sit there all day and dwell on it, and that she's a nobody. So why would anybody be coming after this old lady?
I say this all the time. I'm just as nice as I can be until I'm not. But even when I'm not going live every day, multiple times a day, about somebody. I say what I got to say, and then I'm done, and I move on to whatever else I'm going to talk about. I do that on YouTube every single night. Love you too, Kat. I mean, give me a break, y'all. At what point is enough enough? What has to happen? I have not said anything about Gypsy in months. Like I said, I've always been about evidence. I've always been about, not spreading misinformation.
They don't like evidence.
And the fact that there's so many of these people now who just thrive on, anything that they see, they immediately have to run out here and make some kind of, ridiculous, accusation about. And Fancy has been trying to run with this crazy theory about Nick since I started on this.
There are a lot of brand new crime channels that are talking just about Gypsy or have just gotten into the Gypsy Rose Blanchard case that weren't here a year and a half ago. They weren't here 2 years ago. They weren't here 5 years ago. But what's ironic here is that she says she hasn't talked about Gypsy in months. And then she goes on to say something completely different. That she says what she's got to say once and then moves on. And then she goes to talk about Fancy and says, when I started on this, meaning the Gypsy Rose Blanchard case. Okay, it's still not cool, nor is it a flex to know Christy Blanchard or Gypsy Rose fucking Blanchard.
And quite frankly, this is where I'm at with it. And like it or lump it. I mean, that's just where I'm at. And anybody that has ever listened to me knows how I feel about this case. But this is where I'm at. Gypsy did her time.
The moment
she did the time that the justice system saw fit to give her. There's not one thing that anybody can do to change that. Nothing. And if they're going to crucify every person who has committed a crime and has done the time that the justice system gave them, then you need to start on every criminal. And
I wouldn't go there because the prosecuting or district attorney is one man and that's their decision. And yeah, they're human and they are flawed and they get it wrong all the time. And yes, while what she just said is true, Gypsy Rose Blanchard got a plea deal for second degree. What she did was first degree premeditated murder. It's estimated about 57% of all murderers that are incarcerated get life in prison in the United States of America. When we look at statistics for the remaining 46% of murderers in the United States, a small percentage is actually given capital punishment. Another large percentage dies naturally in prison, and an even smaller 1/3 of that 46% are one day freed or live long enough to be eligible for parole. The majority of caught murderers actually die in prison or are executed. So if you want to look at people that are freed for murder, you really have to look over in the UK or Europe or Canada, where they typically have lighter sentences for second degree and manslaughter. Again, that is Europe, different countries, the UK or underneath the UK Commonwealth.
I'm going to talk about this, ma'am. She did her time but should not profit from it at all. Here's where I'm at with that. Take it up with the people who got rid of the Son of Sam law. Because Gypsy didn't do that.
And should anybody be? I mean, look at all the people that's actually talking about the crime still or talking about her. They're profiting off of Dee Dee's death. More than Gypsy.
Yeah, Gypsy's not speaking about the crime at all. Like, literally ever.
She doesn't have to because she wouldn't be known, nor would she have a platform 1/32 of what she has if it wasn't for her killing Dee Dee, her mother. She wouldn't be on the news, she wouldn't be on the media, and she wouldn't be known on social media at all. More than 43 states have Son of Sam laws. Federally, the Supreme Court never enacted a federal Son of Sam law, but they didn't need to. And that was regarding a New York case. Every state that does have a Son of Sam law, yes, it is applicable. And yes, it applies because our Constitution says that every state has the right to first and foremost govern in and of itself before the federal government has the right to intervene or overstep. The constituents, the residents of every state have the right to vote and govern in and of themselves. And if your crime was committed in a state or you reside in a state that has a Son of Sam law, yeah, you can't profit off of your crime. Nor can you profit from the notoriety, the fame or infamy that you get from said crime.
What is she making money off of?
And that's what
She's making money off of her life story as it is now. Like, that's different.
Listen, and everybody knows how I feel about this. I don't think that anybody should profit off of a crime, especially not off of somebody else's death. But none of you have a problem with Morbid and his crew, Starlight, Nina, Ivory Rose. None of you have a problem with them making money from Dee Dee's death.
But those people are not making money off of Dee Dee's death. They are entertainers, beauty influencers, content creators, who talk about the actions, words, choices, and behaviors of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, including her crime, which besides lying and being a hypocrite is the only thing she's known for. And the same thing that she just said is exactly what a lot of her diehard stans and supporters do. They get up there and instead of debunking anything with actual truth, evidence, and fact, they try to dox, stalk, cyberstalk, harass, bully, cyberbully, all these things to said content creators. They sit on lives for hours on end talking about Gypsy and nothing but Gypsy, but they're just defending her in what you guys perceive as a positive way. I don't know, a 10-minute long video making a 30-minute long video versus a 17-hour live on TikTok, those are two completely different things. But what's crazy is so many people who talk about the Gypsy Rose Blanchard case are not monetized, and they're never going to get monetized.
Y'all watch everything they say and everything they do.
It's hypocrisy for me all the time.
You're contributing. You're contributing to it.
Contributing to what exactly? I'm not getting what it is supposed to be. Again, with the vagueness, the direct first, second, and then third person pronouns.
You're out here complaining that Gypsy's doing this and Gypsy's doing that, but you're contributing to other people doing the same damn thing. How's that any different? It isn't. There's not a person involved in this that is a saint. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And how many of y'all have sat there and listened to Morbid and those scum-sucking shitbags over there literally talk about babies?
I have never personally seen, heard, nor witnessed any such thing. I don't know if that is just a defamatory statement or not, but I'm sure if she had proof, she would show it, right?
And you have no problem with it.
Disabled babies at that.
Again, where is the proof? And of course, nobody in the right mind would make fun of a baby, nor a disabled baby. But that sounds like a false allegation because they're not showing any kind of proof. And that is 3 times they've mentioned it. They being specifically who is on this panel right now. And what's crazy about that is baby Aurora wasn't even a couple weeks old. And Sir Morbid was directly given a private photograph of her. And he never released it with her face showing or anything. So I find this hard to believe. It sounds much more like emotions, anger, personal hatred, and bias speaking.
I'll tell you something else that I have an issue with. Y'all know that I do not agree with talking ill of the dead. I don't care who it is. I just don't. They're not here to defend themselves, and it is never something that I have been a proponent of.
And that is precisely why so many people who are, quote, anti-gypsy, unquote, content creators, why they talk about what they talk about, because the victims are not here to speak for themselves. And there has to be somebody that gives a voice to the voiceless. A lot of people do what they do to vindicate the truth with the evidence, the forensic evidence, the circumstantial evidence, the facts, the witness testimony, the confessions, and the actions, words, choices, and behaviors of Gypsy Rose Blanchard herself. To vindicate Dee Dee, even if she wasn't perfect, she does not deserve to have her life taken from her, her civil constitutional rights stripped from her, her basic human right to her life infringed upon in the most violating way anybody can. People talking about the actions, words, choices, and behaviors of Gypsy Rose Blanchard is not speaking ill of her mother. It's giving her mother her life back. Where Gypsy tried to kill her once, she tried to kill her again and again and again until she finally succeeded physically. And then she spent the next 10 years proceeding to kill her again in legacy and in memory, all for money, fame, and clout. Justice failed because people fail, because people make mistakes. Dan Patterson, Mike Stanfield, Melissa G. Moore, but none other than Gypsy Rose Blanchard herself. Be a proponent for that.
And I've always been dead set against it. And some of these people, get the fuck out of here asking stupid ass questions like that. Mods, fuck that, I'll just block them myself. I'm in a mood, I'm just telling y'all. How many years are you going to talk about Gypsy? It's been 3 years. Well, Newfie Mutter, are you new? Haley, can you please explain to me where I ever said I didn't want justice for Nick? See, that's the problem with people. You are part of the problem.
Who is you? Who are you speaking to? At this point, the vagueness and the stereotyping is absolutely atrocious. But I do want to give a shout out to Renelle Smith, because I'm going to credit her not only in the description box, but this is a video that she actually captured. And of course, she's given me permission to do my own commentary and my own reaction. And the only reason why, I don't even know who these people are, but is because Gypsy Rose Blanchard is about to come on panel. And the switch up and the ass kissery is a weird parasocial phenomenon that I am 100% sure will be studied in the future.
You think that because I'm defending people making up things about Gypsy and running with nonsense, you think that because that I can't do both?
Justice for Nick has nothing to do with
Just
Gypsy.
because I'm against one thing, I can't be for another? Are you an
They're
adult?
closed-minded, tunnel-visioned, hate-bonded losers, really.
Trauma bonding and hate bonding is what Ken and Ryan did with Gypsy. Didn't Gypsy Rose Blanchard do an entire video talking about how she's an anti-bullying advocate now, and somebody is calling everybody a loser? You don't know everybody to call everybody a loser, again, with the bias and the stereotype.
Are you an adult? That's where I'm at with this. Because at the end of the day, anybody who can't understand that you can certainly want more than one thing at a time.
Maybe not when they're contradictory to each other.
I've always wanted justice for Nick. And justice for Nick is treatment. Justice for Nick is a fair trial.
He's not going to give justice for him.
He didn't get one. And I don't care who says he did. He did not get a fair trial. They didn't present everything, and they just didn't.
And they just didn't with Gypsy Rose Blanchard either. She should have went to trial. It shouldn't have been at the discretion of one elected position, Dan Patterson, to give her a little slap on the wrist for her first-degree premeditated homicide. And friendships between prosecuting attorneys, district attorneys, and defense attorneys should not be used to broker anything. Not only was that against the due process and the rights of Nicholas Godejohn being a co-defendant and accessory to Gypsy's crime, but in my opinion, it is not only a travesty, it is an obstruction of justice.
And here's the thing. If he had another trial, what is justice for DD? Well, here's the thing. Let's talk about that for just a minute, shall we? Justice in the United States of America is determined by the justice system. And that ain't us. You're not a judge. I'm not a juror. You may think that, that it's your prerogative or it's your right to convict or condemn somebody. But exactly. Justice for Crystal in the chat, Jana. Her sister hasn't got justice to this fucking day. Gypsy did 10 years, and whether you agree that that's enough or sufficient or not, doesn't mean jack diddly shit in the overall scheme of things.
And you and anybody else thinking that she was justified in stabbing her mother in the back 17 times and partially decapitating her head from her body. Missouri statute for first-degree premeditated homicide is anybody over the age of 18 who knowingly causes the death of another person after deliberation upon the matter. Soliciting somebody else to do it for you. Hiring somebody else to do it for you. Just like Lori Vallow Daybell, just like Charles Manson. They're still the ones that are the most culpable and the most guilty because it's their first-degree premeditated murder. It would not have happened without them. And just because you or anybody else on this live panel believe that Gypsy was justified in killing her mom, it doesn't mean that she was. It doesn't mean that it's right. It doesn't mean that justice was truly served. It doesn't mean that it's okay that Nicholas Godejohn is going to spend his natural life in prison and die behind bars for Gypsy's first-degree premeditated homicide. And if she had any remorse or any accountability, she wouldn't be out here calling him an autistic little buttercup, being racist against disability. She wouldn't be out here calling him a piece of shit and a psychopath and Voldemort. And I do have all of them. I can show you and I can play the clip. I've done it many, many, many times in my videos. She wants him to be hailed as a villain. So the culpability is not on her shoulders, but by God and Jesus Christ himself. Her day of reckoning will come. Her day of judgment will come. We all will have to face our own day of judgment. But you know what the difference is? With Moses and the 10 Commandments, other people aren't out here murdering people, lying, abusing, harming, committing adultery, being gluttonous or envious or sinful. When Moses himself, after 40 days and 40 nights, came off of Mount Sinai with the testimony of God in the 10 Commandments, it wasn't a mere suggestion. It was God's will for how mankind are supposed to walk and live in righteousness, to obey God. Those sins are the sins you cannot commit. All other sins are the sins that are said to be forgiven. But here's the funny thing about forgiveness. You can't give forgiveness to people who are not asking for it. You cannot grant forgiveness to people who are not remorseful and are not sorry for what they did and don't take accountability for what they did. And thou shalt not kill is at the very top for a reason, because taking a life is the one thing you cannot bring back or heal from. Other crimes and other sins may ravage the mind, the heart, the soul, and the body, but taking a life, that disobeys and ravages God's top rule. It disobeys and ravages God himself, his beautiful creation made in his image is the Homo sapien species. It's not only unjust and unholy, it's unthinkable and unforgivable. And nobody has to pass judgment on that because God himself will, through the court of public opinion. We don't have to hate and dislike Gypsy because nobody hates and dislikes Gypsy more than she herself. And with her murder, her debt to society, it's not society's job to forgive her. If she wants forgiveness, she has to walk with God and ask for it. And then, if she wants forgiveness from society, well, that's a whole nother thing. That's solely on her to tell the truth and to take accountability.
The court of public opinion means nothing to the justice system.
Natasha, can you remind these folks what the federal level of this is? Because that's the other thing that's the big rumor now is they're going federal. She's going to get federal charges and get re-indicted. Can you please explain that doesn't happen?
I've already done this once, but let's talk about it.
I know, but you know how you got to re-explain and re-explain to people with crayons.
And murder is not a capital crime. They can never, it's impossible. They can't do that.
Bree in the background said, murder is a capital crime and it is impossible. It can't be federal. Well, Bree, you are wrong again. Murder can be federal, and I have highlighted the part that you should pay very close attention to and that corrects your misinformation.
I specifically kept this clip of Renelle Smith giving her commentary because I think it's really important and I absolutely adore her.
You're welcome.
Let me break it down.
It's not a capital crime.
Let me break it down. Nothing else is going to be done. I don't care what you think.
Ditto, nobody cares what you think either.
I don't care how you decide to interpret a law. I don't care how much you think, oh, because something crossed state lines, the feds are going. No. Dumbasses. I just can't. The feds are doing nothing. The feds aren't looking at anything.
Per usual, the American people don't have a lot of hope and faith in the FBI, the DEA, the ATF, even the Pentagon, our military forces, or the CIA. They let P. Diddy get away with all the crimes he was committing for over 3 decades. They slapped Jeffrey Epstein on the wrist with a sweetheart plea deal before 300 plus other young teenage little girls had to come forward and finally bring it to their attention again. Yeah, that's not news. We know the FBI ain't doing nothing. That's the whole problem. in and of itself.
The feds aren't investigating anything. Nothing is happening.
The feds are too busy running around trying to... Never mind.
I wish they would say who they are talking about.
And it doesn't matter how much you want that to be true because, you know, morbid salt off ass, Fu Manchu looking idiot self is over there telling you, or Fancy's prematurely balding, screeching, looking like a hobbit self is telling you something else, somebody else did. Doesn't matter how much you listen to that bullshit.
Talk about bullying, calling people idiots, dumbass, balding. You know who is balding? Kenan Erker and Rodney James Blanchard Jr. And that is really rich coming from somebody who the internet knows as Jabba the Pizza Hut. But it's okay as long as they're defending Gypsy. Their bullying and their heinous words and actions and choices and behaviors are all okay and excusable as long as it's in defense of Gypsy.
It doesn't make it true. It's ridiculous. It's so freaking ridiculous. And it's like, every time I get on here, it's more ridiculousness. I don't understand how these people are still so wrapped up in this shit. I mean, seriously.
Again, with the sanctity and the preservation of life. Who is they and what is shit? There is no specification to who and what behaviors, actions, words, and choices they are referring to.
Lord, what a name.
Money, money, money.
Bree said next trail was fair. Well, what trail was that?
My problem, Natasha, is that
bullying somebody because their phone auto-corrected trial with trail, which everybody's phone does that sometimes. It doesn't mean somebody is unintelligent or that they don't know grammar. Now, Gypsy Rose Blanchard, on the other hand, can't even spell the word ain't. She can't even make a statement without using Chat GPT to copy and paste.
these people don't realize that many appeals courts have looked at all this evidence and feels like it's not justified to have another trial.
Gypsy, listen, here's the thing, and y'all, and I said this at the beginning, and take it for what it's worth. I don't care if you like Gypsy. I don't care if you like me.
And who are you for anybody to care if you like them or not? What does your opinion matter about their content?
Don't give a fuck. But you can't get on here and act like you're morally superior to somebody.
The only person who encouraged and condoned somebody to do something reprehensible was Gypsy Rose Blanchard herself. And yeah, there are many people who are superior to Gypsy Rose Blanchard because they never killed their mom. They never committed adultery. They never threw somebody under the bus and lied. They never caused somebody else to take their life.
When you condone and literally not only condone, but encourage other people to say and do things that are just as reprehensible as what you claim somebody else has done.
And what are those things? And as far as money, you guys all make money having Gypsy on your panel. You guys all make money talking about it too. You guys all make money in defense of her. Bree herself had almost 50,000 followers on her first main account. It's not everybody else's fault that she's gone through almost a dozen accounts on TikTok and is demonetized and doesn't have 10,000 followers. It's also nobody else's fault that she doesn't put the last year of her life into making good content.
How does that even make common sense to anybody?
Oh, hey, Natasha.
You are more.
Gypsy just said she wanted to come up. Oh, there you go.
Gypsy, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you now. I don't know what you're going to hear or what's going to happen.
That's fine.
Listen,
That's fine.
my paycheck just came up. I got to be quiet, y'all.
My direct deposit just hit. Thanks, Christy.
Thank you, Chris. Apparently, I have apparently I'm getting paid and I don't realize it. I'm not sure what account it's going to because I've not seen it, but.
Oh, shoot, they've always been everybody's getting paid.
I know. Well, apparently I'm really getting paid right now because my whole freaking everything is blowing up.
Well, I see your account is rising. A lot of people coming in. This always happens.
Always.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
Well, Gypsy, I haven't gotten any of my paychecks, so.
Listen, I'm going to one-up Christy. I'm not going to pay in frog legs. I'm going to pay in crab legs.
That's
I know that we have gone gone at it a few times. And there is not a lot of creators that will put the bullshit aside and stand on facts. And I respect the ones that do.
Really? Is she really kissing ass?
So I will say you earned some respect from me.
Gypsy Rose giving her respect to Natasha Cooper. Now there's an idea for a 2025 bingo card.
And by standing on the facts and speaking out about this, I think it's very important to stick to factual stuff instead of conspiracy theories.
Theories and conspiracy theories don't prove that it's a lie, and people have the civil constitutional rights to think whatever theory they want.
And so I respect you for that. I appreciate you for that. And I just want to let you know that.
Well, I appreciate that. And here's the thing. At the end of the day, it's like I said, and
No, it ain't. That is something everybody always says. And here's the thing. And here's the thing. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, at the end of the motherfucking day, ain't nobody give no goddamn shits about Gypsy Rose Blanchard, a motherfucking murderer, and earning her goddamn respect. She needs to earn my motherfucking respect. How about she earn society's respect? How about she earn Nick's respect? How about she earn everybody else's respect? Starting with accountability, responsibility, remorse, an apology, and actually proving that she gives a damn about anybody or anything other than her goddamn self. They're all just mad because all these people that aren't buying their narrative are now people that aren't going to be watching and clicking.
Christy and I've talked about this a lot. You know,
find you some better people to talk to a lot. Did she or did she not say in the beginning that she hasn't talked about Gypsy Rose Blanchard or her case for months? Now she's saying she privately talks about it a lot.
There is, the case is one thing, but this bullshit is another. And I have never cared about the stupidity.
Coming from somebody who likely has an average IQ like 96% of the world does, trying to act like she has a 147 IQ. It is wild as fuck that she's out here calling people stupid, stupidity, idiot, dumbasses, ignorant, etc., etc. The one thing she's not saying is the R word, but it's still discrimination considering Gypsy Rose Blanchard's medical records and what it says about her mental capacity. And what does that say about Nicholas? Calling everybody idiot, stupid, dumbass, stupidity, ignorant. Just another bully who thinks that they're the final boss.
But enough is enough. And this mess is so far out of hand. It's just, okay, I'm turning the damn comments off. People, listen, grow the fuck up. That's where I'm at with it. You know, and I said this, and I know I've said this a lot lately on every channel that I've been on, but at the end of the day, life is fucking short.
Mm-hmm.
And I have seen that firsthand more times than I care to have this last year. And
consume better content then.
I have a completely different perspective on things and life in general these days because of the things that have happened in my personal life. When you literally sit and watch people that you love die and waste away to nothing, it gives you a completely different perspective on life. And to see these people on here who just continue to make up nonsense and to go after people and to, you know, just day after day after day after day, the same bullshit, new bullshit, every bullshit, picking apart every word you say, everything you do. And I mean, they do the same shit to me too, not on anywhere close to the same scale as you, but I mean, it's ridiculous. And all of mine started with Fancy.
I know I told you not to go look it up, but now go ahead, go look it up on TikTok and in YouTube. You're going to find a lot of people that have nothing to do with Fancy talking about Natasha Cooper. People and mainstream news organizations literally outing her and exposing her years ago. Put all the blame and culpability on one person that you don't like. Yeah, that's not obvious. There's just no possibility that all of those people who have covered Natasha Cooper in the last several years, that they couldn't possibly be correct, right? Let me guess. They're all haters and trolls. The funny thing about haters and trolls is that they hide behind a fake account with a fake picture and a fake name.
Mm-hmm.
Every single thing about me that is out on the internet that people go to and run with and originated with Fancy. So I can relate to that bullshit. And I still have channels that go live about me. When you're that obsessed with one person, you are the person that has the problem, not the person that you're talking about. The fact that you are spending that much of your free time that you could be using to spend with people that are in your real life, that you care about, that you love, who may not be here tomorrow, you're the person that has the problem, not the people that you're talking about. And, you know, this back and forth, you know, petty bullshit, you know, whatever.
I have no idea what she's talking about, because you can't say it's one-sided and then say it's petty back and forth bullshit. That is a direct admission of her own participation.
Feuding and fighting. You know, the drama stuff can be fun sometimes, but it's not even fun to me anymore, because I don't have time for it. I want to enjoy, you know, what time I have. My sister was 42 years old, and she died in January.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. She lived 6 months from the time she was diagnosed with cancer. Until the day she was diagnosed, or the month before, perfectly healthy, nothing wrong with her. None of us know what tomorrow is going to be like for us. And
this is not some deep meaning. Everybody has the right to their own thoughts, feelings, expressions, views, critiques, and they have the right to talk about it and express it. And if they do it on their YouTube channel or their TikTok and through their content, then so be it. It's not your business what tomorrow brings for anybody else. How they run their lives, their businesses, their families, and it certainly is nobody else's mother effing business how, when, why, if they are spending their time with their loved ones. A lot of people make their content in their spare time and they are, boom, done. Some people can do it within an hour. Some people work on their videos for days. Some people just record themselves in 20 minutes, boom, they're done. Back to real life. Yes, anti-Gypsy content creators do have a real life. Trust me, they're not talking or thinking about her actions, words, choices, and behaviors other than when they are expressing so in their content, which is not only their right, that is their prerogative.
We are all literally one diagnosis away from a completely different life. And I don't even, and some of them, I don't even think that affects them. It's crazy to me. Because, I mean, you saw some of the comments in the chat. They were going at the fact that, oh, Gypsy's done this and Gypsy's done that, but yet they celebrate and even encourage, people like Morbid and Nina and Ivory Rose and all of these to do these crazy things. And I'm going to tell you,
play victim constantly.
The stuff about the whole.
That's funny coming from the self-proclaimed bestie of the perpetual victim, because I know one thing is true. Gypsy's story and Gypsy's crime does not trump anybody else's story or their trauma and their survivalism. A lot of people have suffered and suffered much worse than what she claims to have.
The whole baby situation is really what got me pissed off.
It's enormous.
That's where I drew a hard line. I already had drawn a line, but the hard line came with the whole baby mess, because I had people put out the fact that, Lindley was born before I ever announced it. I had people putting up pictures of the hospital where she was being born. That shit's dangerous. And I had this conversation with Christy when Gypsy first found out she was pregnant. I was worried because I know how crazy people are, and it just takes one unhinged person.
Yet it's been 1.5 years since she's been released, and nobody has actually physically tried to harm her or her child. Not once. The news haven't reported on it. They certainly haven't showed it in her TV show. They certainly haven't showed an actual real death threat. All you see is Gypsy said this, Gypsy says this, blah, 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 blah. We know Gypsy lies. And out of all those hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars that amounted to almost $3.8 million in 10 years, she should have hired security then if she was that concerned. Her dad and her stepmom should have made sure that they had precautions in place for their physical safety. And yet, still, that has never been breached, not to anybody's knowledge, because if it was, Gypsy would go straight to TMZ and People magazine with it.
To think that they're doing something, right, to do something absolutely horrific, and that's not okay. It's not okay for people to invade into your personal life and put people that you care about, especially innocent children, in danger. Those of us who've been around for what seems like freaking forever, because it seems like it's been, in some ways, it seems like it's been forever ago. But
yeah, Natasha, you're an OG.
I know. I feel it. I feel it too. Trust me. But for those of us who have been around since back in the day, and I mean, it's literally wash, rinse, repeat. It's so many people have done the exact same thing, you know, and they come into this, and it was funny to me how many people, when Gypsy got out, came out of the woodwork and were only interested because she was out.
Nope, wrong. 8 days later, she released a book and a 6-part, 1-hour episode, each episode, docuseries entitled The Prison Confessions of Gypsy Rose Blanchard. That was very strategic, and you can see my video entitled The Gypsy Rose Blanchard Agenda if you doubt that. In October of 2023, there was already a TikTok, a Facebook, and an Instagram in Gypsy Rose Blanchard's name, which is a violation of community standards. You cannot open up any kind of social media on those specific platforms and then transfer it to somebody else months later when they get out. The account has to be for yourself. You are not allowed to transfer them to a third party.
And they were just interested in the gossip and didn't know anything about the actual case itself, because that's the only thing. I mean, I care about the cases, and all this other mess I don't care about. But at some point, because I mean, I am invested in this. And I mean, I've always said this. In some ways, I feel protective of Gypsy, and I always have, because it would piss me off at the shit that freaking Fancy was doing even back then. So I would try to warn her, hey, this shit, what the fuck? And Fancy, the only word that I can use for Fancy at this point, what word can I use?
Deranged.
I don't know.
I don't know. So far, you didn't have any problem making fun of people balding, and you had no problem saying stupid, idiot, dumbass, stupidity, ignorant, and right now it's a loss for words? What?
There's one word that I don't know that there's one.
I don't know. She got a whole new theory. She got a whole new theory.
It's
theory
not
about
new.
the
She's the
Summerville games
expert.
last
An
week.
expert
It's not
doesn't
new.
have a new theory.
It's
An
not
expert
new.
doesn't have a new theory.
She's had that theory since 2019. It's not new. It's just one that she's washed, rinsed, repeated, and added a little bit extra on. And because Gypsy made a post, now, oh, that's breaking news.
Exactly. I didn't want to be on social media on the 10th. And so I can send you the screenshot from my phone of when I took that picture, the sonogram picture, on June 10th at 2 something in the afternoon.
But she did post on the 9th and the 10th. She posted the picture of her and Ken holding the sonogram. And then she posted a video saying she worked out for 10 minutes. And Ken makes the joke about, oh, you only burned 50 calories and ate 900. Again, another lie. Why lie when anybody can go to your page and verify that? Look at the date it's posted. Look at the date it's posted. Look at the date it's posted.
With Ken, and I just simply posted early. I didn't want to be on social media on the 10th, so I posted the day before because both days are difficult.
The fact that you even have to address it and speak about it it infuriates me.
And they're like, you
like,
did. That proves that you did the crime. No, I just simply freaking posted early. Like, why does there have to be some big, grand conspiracy theory about this?
Because
If they
have
followed
nothing
the
else
case-
to talk about. I mean,
If they followed the case, they have no facts.
anybody who still listens to her after the whole bloodbath theory is, y'all need psychiatric evaluation yourself. I mean, give me a break.
Freezer truck.
wait, you mean she didn't get a freezer truck? Oh, I'm sorry. I need to make sure.
Freezer
Like-
truck? No, they wheeled her from the shed into the house.
That was the second theory.
Okay, I'm not into the conspiracy theories myself. I mean, I know what has been said, but whatever. This is like in one ear and out the other for me.
That's the one that took me out. I'm over here like, yeah, nobody would have noticed that. No, nobody would have noticed.
What took me out was the freezer truck, Natasha. Like, literally nobody's going to notice a fucking freezer truck sitting there for 24 hours, really?
Not to mention, my mom was like 260 pounds or something like that.
That's what I said.
What?
I literally said that. I said, so you mean to tell me that Gypsy and Nick put her in a... what? And
No,
then,
according to these people, not even Nick, remember? Because Nick, yeah.
well, yeah, Gypsy.
Just me. Right. Just me.
No, it was her and Dan.
Yeah, Dan.
Or Dan.
God.
Oh, yes. Dan the man.
Scott.
Not that.
Or Brian.
Well,
It was David Blanchard.
Then it was the DA too. I mean,
Look, David had to private his Facebook because Fancy and them was harassing him, basically. Taking shit off of his Facebook and everything. Like, he had to private all of his
She was on
accounts.
a live stream talking about how she was going over his Facebook and like looking at all his shit, and all of a sudden it all fucking like went away because he blocked her.
Yeah, that's not cool, guys. Don't bother Dan Glidewell. Leave that man alone. Leave people on Facebook alone. Cyber stalking is a crime.
Like, while she was doing, I'm dead ass serious. I was watching it when she did
David
this.
Blanchard blocked her and privated all of his stuff where you can't see. Like, that's what he had to do because of Fancy. And one other person, which I'm not going to mention because she isn't with the drama anymore. But, yes, because they were, like, stalking his Facebook, taking pictures, like, from his Facebook. It's really sad because you know what? He was traumatized by this too.
Yeah, and I wonder why. That's because of the actions of Gypsy Rose Blanchard herself.
Like, they're hurting other people when they do this shit. Like, hang it up.
here's my thing about it. What are they accomplishing? What is
Nothing.
all of this nonsense accomplishing?
A new follower.
Clicks, views, attention, gifts.
That's what I was getting at. If I wanted to, I could have talked about this every day for the last however long. And I could have made money. I could have whatever. At what point do you say, why? Why am I still talking about this? What if you're not accomplishing something that is in some way, shape, or form going to lead to some type of positivity or some type of positive change or outcome? What are you doing? And why?
Maybe it'll stop when the Menendez brothers get out. I don't know.
I don't think so.
Watch, they're going to get out and then everybody's going to praise them. They're going to get a platform and then give it 2 or 3 months and they're going to do the same thing. The internet is going to do the same thing to them.
No, they're not, because first of all, they are men. Secondly, they've spent over 35 years in prison. Third, they have come forward and taken accountability and shown remorse for their crime. They also asked for forgiveness for making a mockery of the justice system and decades of lying. I have posted their resentencing statements. If you're interested, you can scroll on my community page and find them there. Gypsy is envious because they come from a famous family and a very wealthy family. Their crime has been very prevalent for almost 4 decades. Eric and Lyle Menendez did not use somebody else and throw them under the bus afterwards for making money or for a defense strategy. Eric and Lyle both got a higher degree of education while incarcerated, and they did a lot as far as helping other prisoners and victims of SA. You can look at the records and see exactly all of their accolades that they have accomplished while incarcerated with the knowledge that they would never be free. Showing remorse, taking accountability, which means them acknowledging that they deserve to be in prison for life, asking for forgiveness and trying to make a change with their own life, trying to make their life count, that they can actually do something positive and proactive while incarcerated. But the only thing Gypsy is focused on is if they get out, when they get out, and the fame and attention that they're going to receive. Girl, they've been famous for almost 4 decades. And with them asking for forgiveness, they just might be granted it. Telling the truth and admitting all of their lies also may help play a role in that.
Absolutely.
And I
Sadly, it won't be as big of a level, though, because, I don't know, men and women get things done differently to them. And I don't
That
hope
was
that. I don't hope that for them.
Oh no, there's a lot more leniency and empathy for them than there ever has been for you, Gypsy. Let's be for real.
Sadly.
Also, Natasha, you want to say hi to some more haters that are streaming you live right now?
Hey,
What's up? What's up? What's up?
Say hi.
Hey guys, I'm about to go get something to eat, so I'm gonna hop off here. But
Have fun.
Natasha, thank you for putting me on your panel. I just want to, give you kudos for sticking to the facts and explaining, why I didn't want to post on the 10th, because the 9th and 10th is a hard day for me.
Well,
and so I honestly just didn't want to be on social media, so I posted a day early. Did I think that all that...
Again, this is a lie. She posted on the 9th and on the 10th. The sonogram photograph that she and Ken are holding. She also posted a statement not only to TikTok, but also to Instagram. And she also posted on her YouTube channel a video of her saying that she got herself a Frappuccino and a caramel cookie after working out for 10 minutes. The fact that she is trying to convince everybody of a lie, a stupid little lie that is easily verifiable, go look at the posts, go look at the dates. And we know she likes to take them down, but of course people have screenshots of them.
Was going to come of it? No, but...
Girl, you can't even breathe. I swear to God, if you blow your nose sideways, they're going to say something about it.
They're going to say my
It's
boogers are the
ridiculous.
wrong color.
I want to say this before you get down. And, I've always shot straight with you and told you exactly what I think, because that's just who I am.
Yeah, and anti-Gypsy content creators also tell her straight what they think and how they feel and their opinions also. It doesn't make them any less valuable or Natasha Cooper's more valuable. And not only that, what is it with Gypsy Rose Blanchard associating and surrounding herself with criminals or people that have past records and other felons? Because in some weird parasocial way, they're like, oh yeah, I've done things that were bad in my past. I've committed crimes in my past, and they want forgiveness. So therefore they want to be the first to preach righteousness and grant that forgiveness to somebody who's not even remorseful enough to ask for it. There are billions of people who don't murder. In fact, most people won't commit a crime that atrocious and heinous. Not war, not self-defense, none of those things. Straight homicide, straight murder. Instead of granting forgiveness that is not owed or deserving to a convicted murderer and a pathological liar, instead grant that forgiveness to people who deserve it, to people who are worthy, to people who show remorse and ask for it. Give that attention, that love, that praise, and that clout to people who do the right thing, who are good, decent human beings and deserve it. People that are worthy of getting paid to tell their story, to share the truth.
You don't owe these people anything. You don't owe them an explanation. You don't owe them anything. And at the end of the day, you do what makes you happy. You do what's best for Aurora. That's all that matters.
I agree. I just want to love on my baby girl, be happy with my man, live my life, get to do fun new things that I never got to, and just live. And live without a monkey on my back, always falsely reporting to me, falsely reporting shit to my PO.
Yet, Gypsy Rose Blanchard just did a 33-minute long anti-bullying video where she admits to, yeah, and where does it go from there? I always see on my reports, no violation, no violation, no violation, admitting inadvertently that she mass reports people. Mass reporting is a violation. Calling people stupid, idiots, and dumbass is a violation. Making fun of mentally disabled people is a violation. Saying that you're going to punch back 10 times harder is a physical threat. Doxing Ryan's private correspondence. Doxing his private medical information. Doxing his phone number. And weaponizing TikTok for your clapback tool.
All these people
Well, you won't have to
on my
worry about
back.
that longer.
I just want to live happy. And at the end of the day, I'm not bothering anybody by making TikTok videos of me dancing or singing.
Don't watch. I mean, that's where I'm at with my stuff too. I mean, they do the same thing with me about battling and about sweet cheeks. I mean, get over it.
Do what makes you happy. I mean, as long as nobody's getting hurt.
And that's the problem right there, Gypsy, is you hurt so many people in the pursuit of your own happiness. You took the life of your mother. Stephanie Goldhammer is no longer here. You hurt Nicholas Godejohn. You hurt your own family with the lies. You hurt your friends, your family, your associates, and even content creators who you just don't like talking about you. You sat there on national television on your reality show and created an entire fight at a restaurant between Mia and Christy and sat back and laughed. Yeah, pursue your own happiness, but it's different when you're not living inside of your dad and your stepmother's house. It's different while you are on parole. They have the right to tell you and to have their opinion and to say anything about your words, actions, choices, and behaviors. But look at what you have done to Ryan Anderson. Look at how you have hurt that man. He sacrificed and lost so much for you and the marriage that he believed in, the vows that he took. And just like Nicholas Godejohn, he still protects you, even to this day, despite all the horrible things you do to both of those men, speaking not only to their heart, who they are, and to their loyalty, but it speaks volumes about you.
Exactly.
They can stay the fuck mad. Stay mad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nothing is going to stop them from talking. Nothing is going to stop them from making these stupid ass videos. Nothing's going to stop them from going live and talking shit. Because at the end of the day, the people who do these things have nothing else to do.
I agree.
That's laughable because influencers and content creators certainly have a life outside of making content. And again, with the vague they and them.
The people that know you and love you,
All it does is
love
show.
you, and that's all that matters. They know you and they love you. And
Exactly, Bree. It just shows that they're lacking something in their own personal lives. I don't know if it's financial loss or emotional loss or what's going on, but y'all be losing some stuff. And that's why you're coming after people you don't even know, like Bree on a daily basis for literally
Y'all
just
can be
existing on this
y'all can
fucking
be
app.
thinking
And I don't agree with that, okay? People need to leave Bree alone too, and her mom and her husband. But it's my own opinion that Gypsy Rose Blanchard has been very damaging even to her own friend, because it comes at the expense of everybody and everything else, even her own marriage and her own relationships and friendships with other people. Maybe to the people that she has harmed and hurt, it is free game. But I'm just going to say that she has become a worse version of herself because she's known Gypsy for over a year. And that is really tragic to see happen. That is the paradox. That is the parasocial relationship that will be studied in the future, especially for a convicted murderer. You're joking, right? That's not a flex. That's not an accomplishment. And that certainly is not an attestament to the kind of person you want to think yourself as. When you find yourself becoming the worst version of yourself in defense of somebody else who couldn't even give a shit less, other than the fact that you are benefiting them, the whole thing is not only wild, it is weird ASF.
spelling lessons.
Like all she's doing is being on this app every day, trying to make TikToks and to do whatever she's doing, whether it's involving Gypsy or not.
Doing whatever she's doing. That's laughable because Gypsy Rose doesn't even know what she's doing. In my opinion, people with those types of personality disorders, they never do. They don't know who they are because their whole thing revolves around molding themselves to be who they think somebody wants them to be. And FYI, please excuse the wind if you hear it. I am currently outside, but yeah, to a lot of people, that is very intriguing. And that is of interest to them, how somebody can be a chameleon, how somebody can change so much from the time they were very small until 34 years old and still doing it. The lies, the behavior, the actions, the words, the choices, that is intriguing to a lot of people because normal, decent, good human beings can't wrap their mind around it. That's why people like to talk about it and discuss it. And it is within their right to be able to do so, even in their content.
And literally every day she's just bashed and trashed in every way, shape, and form. It's just insanity to me. Like, and how does that prove your point?
Well,
Anyway.
it's not just that, and it's not just Gypsy. It's anybody on the internet that is
I'm talking about Bree. Poor Bree can't even breathe.
Bree, Gypsy, me. I mean, anybody who has any kind of presence on the internet that people see as some type of threat, or that they see somebody doing better than they are, or they're jealous of what kind of money somebody's making or what money they think somebody's making. That's what it's always boiled down to with most of the people who don't like me. Either they've came at me and I went back at them,
What in the diddly? What?
Better, or they are jealous because of the support that I have. And you'll never get them to admit that. They have to come up with something else, and they always have to talk about what your response is to what they say, but they never talk about what they did to get that response.
Yeah, killing somebody and scamming victims of a heinous murder and crime out of money. Yeah, that's the beginning of all of that. Both of those things are criminal behaviors, and they're atrocious, and people are going to talk about them and expose them.
Because I'm not out here like all of these other people watching everything somebody does and what somebody says. I don't care.
And you don't have to care. Nobody cares if you care or don't care. The entitlement that your opinion means more than anybody else's, or that people should care what you care or don't care about, is just crazy. I think that is mind-boggling, because I listen to other people's opinions and their content and watch their videos, and sometimes I agree, sometimes I don't agree, but it never comes with a civil disrespect because it's an opinion different than my own, or a thought or feeling different than my own. Feelings are like assholes, and everybody has one. And that's why I absolutely love my community, because my community was not based in true crime. My first 5,000 subscribers had to do with chronic pain, invisible illness, genetic connective tissue disease, and cancer, like me. I'm very open-minded to other people's opinions, especially if they are different than my own, because I don't learn or grow any other way. And there's a lot of beautiful people, very intelligent, very kind, very good, decent human beings that are in my comment section on every video. I truly am blessed with a very great support system as far as social media goes. And I read comments, and sometimes I'm like, yeah, you know what? You're absolutely right. You're right. Sometimes seeing things through somebody else's feelings, thoughts, or opinions kind of helps you see it from their perspective, a perspective that you might not have considered, especially for me. I love that. I think that's a great thing. I think that is the beautiful thing about diversity. But that luxury, that honor, that privilege, that respect is not afforded to a convicted murderer who does nothing but lie and harm everybody. That is solely reserved for very few people and my amazing friends who are subscribed to my channel.
There are people toxic every house that I've ever lived in when other families live in them, because they accuse me of, like, it's ridiculous. They put other people in danger because they believe everything somebody else says. Like, I was starting to get blamed for this Ivory Rose thing of her getting broken into her house or whatever. And she finally, I talked to her, I messaged her, and I was like, look, can you let your people know that me and none of my friends have nothing to do with this? Because, like, we're not getting blamed for this shit. We get blamed for everything else. And she did say something on her live that she never said it was me. So hopefully they take that and, understand.
Now, don't hate me, but I agree with Bree there, okay? Because Bree is in Louisiana, and Ivory Rose knows, posted about her house being broken into and to contact the local police department if you know anything about sharing her private information, address, etc., etc. But you never know if somebody else didn't do something because of somebody else's actions, words, choices, and behaviors on social media until they're able to locate, identify, and arrest the person that is responsible, if they do. And I certainly pray that they do. There's no telling if that person had done what they done because they thought they were supporting and retaliating for Bree or Gypsy or anybody else. There's just no way to know that.
But it gets annoying when, like, I've been completely silenced. Every single one of my accounts have been banned. And
I know the feeling. I mean, they took down my...
I know you do. Exactly.
They took down...
Here is the thing with that, though. TikTok is not owned by an American citizen, and they take the U.S. law much different than other social media apps do. Bree has gone through a dozen accounts or so, and you have to violate to have that account taken permanently. On TikTok, each account gives you warning after warning after warning, or a strike after strike if you violate multiple different times. If you are adhering to the community standards, the legal practices, and the guidelines of that social media, then you don't have a problem because you're not violating. You appeal it and you win, because you're not in violation. So I can see TikTok maybe making a mistake here and there, but making that many mistakes for that many accounts to have that many permanently banned is a testament to somebody's behavior. And a perfect example of how people weaponize TikTok and other social medias.
On my first channel on here, and they've tried to take this one down repeatedly.
But they try to call us the echo chambers. Like, no, y'all are the definition of what that is. Anybody who, I don't even talk about Gypsy and they come after me. Just like you don't talk about, you moved on from your things.
Doesn't matter what I talk about, they come after me. It doesn't matter what.
Yep. I know how you feel now, girl. I never thought this would be my life, but it is.
Again, that is a choice because you put yourself in Gypsy's life. You social climbed into friendship with her stepmother and then later on became buddies with her and then started using her for video content. You sit on lives all the time and you do still talk about Gypsy. That is a choice. That is the same exact thing that they're saying anti-Gypsy content creators, trolls, and haters do.
It's ridiculous.
The best.
I just want to know what some.
Go ahead.
I just want to know what some of them are doing after the 25th when they so excited that they contact this parole officer and they so proud of themselves that they get to talk to a person. What are they doing after the 25th? What are they doing?
Thank you.
They'll find something, trust me.
I know what we're
going
going
to be calling the police every 5 seconds.
Again, I don't know who, quote, they, unquote, are because they're not talking about anyone specific. They're trying to stereotype and clump everybody together. I have in my own content personally said multiple times, do not call somebody's parole officer unless there is clear evidence and proof for you to do so. And for Gypsy to genuinely be violating her parole, she has to be engaging in something severe enough for them to violate her. And Gypsy, trust me, she's a lot more clever than you know. She cares about her freedom almost as much as she cares about herself and her looks. But I have also said the same thing about Child Protective Services. Now, she's done some really effed up and questionable things, including not buckling that baby correctly in a car seat, being more worried about making content for YouTube than her own safety or her baby's safety. And if somebody else chooses to contact Child Protective Services and you're a mandated reporter after seeing that, that's one thing. But I tell people all the time, do not call Child Protective Services because she posted a video of her baby crying. That is not a good use of resources. To make those kinds of calls, you have to have legitimate suspicions or evidence that make you have suspicions of abuse or neglect. And every Child Protective Services unit all throughout the United States also has an adult division for adult protective services. Just FYI, just putting it out there.
Yeah.
Listen, the best clapback is just living a happy life.
Yeah.
But you said season 2 of Life After Lockup was you clapping back, and not just clapping back to haters and content creators, but specifically Nina, the beauty influencer. Yet weaponizing mainstream media, weaponizing an entire reality TV show and network, Lifetime, which is owned by A&E Network, to clap back to the one person that you want to take down more than anything. Not only did your show not disprove her, quote, lies, unquote, what it actually did was reaffirm your own lies, Gypsy Rose Blanchard. And if you were living a happy life, you wouldn't be so miserable inside. You wouldn't lie. You wouldn't hurt people. You wouldn't use, manipulate, discard, and dispose of people when they no longer serve their purpose in your life. All I know is anybody that truly is accountable and remorseful for taking the life of somebody would say, here, I deserve to be in prison for the rest of my life for what I did. What I did was atrocious and heinous, and I don't deserve my freedom. But you don't see Gypsy doing that. You see her omitting, you see her lying, you see her deflecting, projecting, darvoing all of society and even content creators. You see her shift blame and responsibility to Nicholas Godejohn, to her mother, to everybody else except for herself. It's mind-boggling, but it's also a behavior that is so extremely rare that people are intrigued by that. But you know what I like to say? The flames of hell can do wonders on that frozen cold heart of hers. Her actions, words, choices, and behaviors, I will say it over and over and over and over again, are so extremely bizarre. It is concerning, and Gypsy Rose Blanchard is a dangerous human being. She's killed once. She has the capacity to do it again. But that is what is so intriguing, because not only is she a dangerous person, she's a horrible person. And those two things coincide in her. Anybody who was truly sorry and remorseful for what they did, their first-degree premeditated homicide, would say, I deserve to be in prison, or I deserve to be put to death. Andrea Yates, who killed her 5 children in a postpartum psychosis, had many opportunities to be integrated back into society and to get out of the psychiatric hospital. And she denies it every time because she has remorse for taking the lives of her 5 children, even though she was the very rare case that fit the definition of insanity. She chose to stay in a psychiatric hospital. And look at Eileen Wuornos. She took the lives of 7 different men just for money, for their cars, for their material items. She didn't want to fight another 15 years through all of these appeals. She wanted her execution to come sooner. She did express true remorse, regret, and sorrow. She apologized to all of her victims' families. Eileen Wuornos even waived her rights to all the other appeals because she wanted to be put to death quicker. Eileen Wuornos not only knew that she was guilty, but she said that her evil is worse than other people's evil. Her evil drives her to take people's lives so she can steal their money, their credit cards, their material items, their vehicles, etc. She killed them for the simple fact that she can maybe get away with a car and a couple $100s instead of 20 or 50. But people that truly feel compassion and empathy, that's what they do. That's how they behave, and that's the things that they choose to do. And they don't do it at the expense of anybody else. Andrea Yates never blamed her psychiatrist or her ex-husband. Eileen Wuornos never threw her lover under the bus. She, like Andrea Yates, would later express their empathy and their sorrow and their regret and their remorse. And their choices for how they could rectify that was staying in a psychiatric hospital locked up and being put to death faster.
Amen on that one. Amen on that one. Well, that's
All right, and then with that, I am signing off.
All right. See you later.
I did.
Bye.
Wow, thank you so much for being with me. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for your time. I cannot believe that that was over double with my commentary added. Fair use. And if you liked my video, please subscribe, like, turn on notifications, and share.